Okay, I'm going to show you two more conjectures from today's lesson, and that was the isosceles triangle conjecture and the equilateral triangle conjecture. And what I would recommend is, this is where we left off from the last episode here, and I would recommend keeping all of your conjectures in one file and just creating tabs here at the bottom. How you do that, if you go to File, Document Options, what you can do is you can add pages to your document. And so we're going to add in the isosceles triangle conjecture. And we're going to add another page for the equilateral triangle conjecture. And now I have those tabs here at the bottom, and it's just easier to access my work. So our first one here is going to be the isosceles triangle conjecture. And you're going to need to know how to create an isosceles triangle. To do that, start with a segment. Mark one endpoint as the center of rotation, and then with the segment and the point highlighted, you're going to transform rotate, and then you get to choose the degree measure. So I'm just going to change this to say 40 degrees. And now no matter how I move this, these will always stay the same. Okay. Use my segment tool to connect the third side. I missed. Okay, and now I have my isosceles triangle. Oops. All right, so what do I want to show here? I want to show that if the sides are the same, so if I measure the lengths of the sides, and those are congruent, then I can mark those to show they're congruent. Then the base angles are also going to be congruent. So I'm going to have my base angles here. Set that back to 1. And if I measure the base angles are also going to be congruent. Okay, and that's the isosceles triangle conjecture. If the sides are congruent, the base angles are congruent, and the converse of that, if the base angles are congruent, then the sides must be congruent. All right, our final sketch for tonight is the equilateral triangle conjecture. And so what we want to show here is a construction of an equilateral triangle. Probably the best way to do it is start with the segment, and you can then use 2 overlapping circles to make your equilateral triangle. You can also do this as we did for the isosceles triangle, except just set your rotation for 60 degrees. So a little shortcut here is if you select the compass tool and you press Control A, that highlights all the circles. Control H would then hide all the circles at once. And what does this conjecture state? It states that if you know all the sides are equal, okay, then all the angles then must be equal. Okay, and then conversely, if you know all the angles are congruent, then all the sides must be congruent. And you can kind of move this around and see that the angles will always measure 60 degrees and the sides will be congruent. Okay.